Hello. Today we're going to be talking about the Google Developer Machine Learning Translation. And this is part two. Okay, so in part two, we're going to be doing some code. There was a few changes I had to make on this one. And I wanted to let you know that when I go to help, about, I'm on Android Studio Giraffe 2022.3.1 patch 1. So I want to let you know that's the one that I'm using. And I did have to make a few changes. So let's begin. Okay, and I do want to tell you my intention today is to have you get a working sample up and running so you can play around with it. Now, I do strongly encourage you, if you are not familiar with the button or what layouts are or what the drawable folder is or what a build.gradle is, I encourage you to look at some beginner Android classes. And once you get a hello program working, and then perhaps go all the way up to how to have how to get a camera working, or how to get a video playing on the device. Once you're up to that speed, you can definitely come back here and work on these different samples, but you will need to know the basics. And today we're going to be concentrating on Android and Java. Okay, now we're going to start at the layout, the XML, that I named my particular application Translator. And I have my package name com.educationfundonline.translator. And in the sample, they named their package name com.google.mlkit.samples.nl.translate.java. So if you created a brand new name for your app, go ahead and write down what that name is. Just go ahead and cut copy and just put it on Notepad. And then go ahead and copy what this package name is, com.google.mlkitsamples.nl.translate.java. So for instance, if you created a new project and you named it something different than what this package name is, go ahead and just copy that and just put it on a notepad. Now I'm on Notepad, and I'm going to copy the package name onto Notepad, and then I'm going to go back to my program, and I'm going to copy my package name into Notepad. And you'll want to definitely do that because you'll be making changes to your sample app. Here I have the XML file. It's called Activity Translate Main. And I'm in Android Studio. This is the folder res, and I'm going to the layout folder, and I double clicked on translate underscore fragment dot xml. And I'm going to also bring up the GitHub I'm o- I brought up activity underscore translate underscore main for Android Studio, and I'm going to go to GitHub, and I'm going to bring up translate underscore fragment activity. I'm sorry, activity underscore translate main. Now, I did make a change on this particular file. As you can tell, where it says tools, it has the package name com.google.mlkit.samples.nl.translate.java.main activity. But my package name is com.educationfunonline.translator. So I had to change that line. So I changed mine to com.educationfunonline.translator.main activity. To show you on activity underscore translate underscore main.xml on the GitHub, you notice that also after that package name, it has Java. In the sample, it has the directory Java main activity because it's in the folder Java. In my particular application, I didn't put any Kotlin in my program here. I only use Java. So I did not create an extra folder that says Java. So I did not have to put Java here because you notice that in the sample, it has Java and then Kotlin. And in mine, I don't have Java or Kotlin, so I didn't have to put .java. Excellent. So all you have to do is just copy that, and if you named your projects name something different, then you just want to change that. Okay, so let's go to the next XML, which will be translate underscore fragment dot XML. I did not have to make any changes to this file at all. It was just like the sample. Double click translate fragment. There was absolutely no changes I had to make. It was pretty much a cut, copy, paste. And you go to design to see what it looks like. And it has the two text boxes. As you can tell, this text box is bigger than the other one. And I'll be showing you what it looks like. It's kind of hard to see what it would look like, but I'll be going over that particular sample. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's jump over to the build.gradle file. And you go to in Android Studio, you go to the Gradle scripts folder, and you double click on the second build file. Now, I did have to make a few changes to this one. When I tried to compile this program, it did recommend that I upgrade it to the target SDK to be 34 instead of 33. So I had to do that. So what you want, so when you're, I would suggest you save your program and bring up Android Studio again. But what you want to do, you want to right click before you bring up Android Studio. You want to right click and then left click run as an administrator. And once you do that, you'll be able to upgrade the SDK. And I strongly, if it, whenever your compiler says, hey, you know, you need to upgrade to 34, do it. it's good for two things. One is good for security for your app, and two, a second thing, it's good for Google Play, because after about a couple of years, they're going to ask you to upgrade your app for security reasons anyway. Okay, so here you want to go up to Tools, go down to SDK Manager, and you want to go to Android API 34. Make sure you have a check mark by Android SDK Platform 34, and then click on OK. And this will update your SDK to 34. And then, just as a comparison to the sample, the sample, their build.gradle is their target SDK is 31. But I do not know when they programmed this app. They could have programmed this sample app 2 years ago. That's what it looks like to me. Because right now, the minimum required target SDK version for Google Play is 33. So I have a feeling they did this about a couple of years ago. Okay. So you definitely want to make that change. So on mine, I had to do the compile SDK 34 and the target SDK 34. So let's go down. You want to focus on the dependencies. And as you can tell, I went ahead and I copied all of these dependencies. And so we have the Translate 17.01. Even though this is 17.01, in 6 months, it might change. So if you come back to this video, that number might be higher in the sample. It's okay, just copy it. They just did an update. And also, it has the Maven. This is for the google.com common. You'll see imports. That's what this implementation, what this number changes as well. 27.1. So if you ever get like a Maven error or something like that, it just means you need to upgrade this. So if you have like a google.com, a com.google.com an error message, it's usually because you need to upgrade your Maven. And that number will change to something higher. But for right now, this compiles. This number does compile. Okay, so all I did was copy this and place that in my dependencies. Excellent. So now we got our build.gradle programmed. We have our XML done, so I can go ahead and close out of the XML. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is we want to go down to style. Now this was another thing that was different. This was another file that was different, themes. And I want to go over that with you. It was different from the sample. Now in the sample, they have under values the file named styles.xml. But in my Android Studio, I had a default folder called themes. Now, if and only if you do not have a themes folder, then go ahead and create a file called styles.xml. However, if you have a folder called themes, do not create a folder called styles.xml. So if you have themes, just go ahead and double click on themes.xml. Okay, so in the themes.xml, all I did was I added the bottom style. You're going to need that bottom button for the outline button. It's called icon only button. That particular widget, you want to copy that style and place that into your themes.xml file. So I kept the theme dot day night. I kept that theme for myself, but I did for the particular the icon only button to get my XML working. I had to have that in there. So just for instance, like in the translate underscore fragment.xml, it does use that style for the com.google.android.material.button.material button. As you can tell, I'm highlighting it. It has the style icon only button. So it's going to grab that from the style. And then the theme.xml, there it is right there. If you do not have the themes directory, go ahead and create a file under values as here in the GitHub styles.xml and just copy what's in here and paste it underneath there. Excellent. Well, let's go to the next file. And I'm back to my Android Studio. And let's double click on strings.xml. And as you can tell in this particular file, it has translated text hint, downloaded models label. So it will give you a message when that model has been downloaded. Translate underscore progress. So like for instance, if you have translating from English to Spanish, that will come up. It'll say translating in progress. Delete a model. It now gives more room on your app. Download model. So you can pick if you want German, English, Spanish, and you can pick which model you want to download. Unknown error if something goes wrong. So you want to definitely have these strings in your string file. And the next one is colors. Only had to have black and white in there. I don't think they even used it. And we're going to go to the colors.xml in Android Studio. And these are the colors that I have, and which I really love. To the left, you'll see that's black, white. You can actually see what colors they are. Now, if you go to the GitHub, you double click on colors. You want to copy this. If you already have some other colors, just go ahead and just paste it underneath it. I already had black and white. I went ahead and pasted that underneath. So now we have themes done, string colors. We got our build.gradle completed. We got our layout completed. Now we want to go to drawable. And in drawables, again, they used an XML layout. So let's go back to our GitHub and let's go to our drawable folder. And under drawable, they have IC baseline delete, IC baseline translate underscore 32, IC compare arrows black 24dp.xml, IC file download underscore white 24dp, and logo underscore mlkit.xml. I went ahead. This is the only thing I had from the drawable folder in mine is the IC underscore compare underscore arrows black 24dp. That's the only one I had to do. And It has the vector and the path name to that particular graphic. Let me just double click so you can see it's the exact same thing, and it tells you exactly what it looks like. That is really cool. So that's in the drawable folder. Okay, so now we want to go to our and actually I'm going to go to the Java first. Let's go ahead and double click on some Java. So let me go to hop on over here to Java, and I'm going to double click on the main activity.java. Okay, on GitHub. Now, as you can tell, it has package.com.google.mlkit.samples.nl.translate.java. Again, if you have your project as something different, then your name will be whatever your project name is. So for me, it was package com.educationfundonline.translator. And then here the import, they have com.google.mlkit.samples.nl.translate.r. You want to change that name if your project is a different name. And when you go live with your project, you want to upload it to Google Play, you're going to have to change that line anyway. So it's a good thing to go ahead and change it. And for the rest, you just want to cut, copy, paste. And here I have my main activity. And you can tell that the package name is com.educationfund.translator. I had changed that package name. And then for my imports, I went ahead and changed again my package name to that .r. And let's go back to GitHub. I'm going to go to translatefragment.java, and I want to go over again what needs to be changed. If you have a different project name, again, change that package name. I had to change mine to com.educationfundonline.translator. Let me go down, and then here import, I had to change that again to com.educationfundonline.translator.r, whatever your project name is. You want to change that. Let me just want to make sure there's any other changes I had to make. There's absolutely nothing else I had to change. This was definitely another cut, copy, paste, which is great. I just want to go over this a little bit. This is something in computer science I was always taught. Don't reinvent the wheel. And especially with this, do not. I strongly recommend do not reinvent the wheel. Just because there's just so many security updates and there's just so many companies using the translation in their companies that you don't want to change this at all. You want to keep the code as is, because it will change. Because I remember a long time ago, they only had Java. So Android apps were programmed in Java. And then, I don't know, someone made a decision, hey, we're going to use Kotlin, because maybe they exported the jobs overseas, or maybe there was more companies that they took on that had a really large budget, and their programmers had said, hey, we use Kotlin. Kotlin will probably integrate all the machine learning. And so what they did was they changed the Android developer website and made most of the samples Kotlin instead of Java. And I don't know what happened, but there must have been. I'm not sure. I think it might have took 6 months or something, and then they got a different developer to start doing Java samples as well. But I do want to tell you that do not reinvent the wheel. I strongly recommend it because it changes every 2 years. It's always something different. Anyway, so for right now, what you really want to understand is how to get this running, and your main concern is success or fail, and you want to get that string file. That string file is what's important. Uh, because that text that string file will be text, and you can always go text to speech, text to thought if you're using a brain computer interface, and you can have you send that text to Google Maps, uh, you can, etc. So you want to really concentrate on that string file is what was your whole objective here. You can use the other machine learning APIs with that particular string. Now, if you go down here, you see that it has the source. They're using English. And then the target, they're using ES. Now, you'll see on here where it has source language selector, it has EN. And if you look at the MLKit language identification chart, you scroll down, EN is English. And then the next one they're going to be translating to is ES. ES is Spanish. And this is for the language identification API right there. And you have your adapter, and you have your view model dot source language dot set the value adapter dot get item. And let me go down. Oh, and I want to show you. Okay, so here, I'm gonna scroll down, and here it has download the language, and there's a button. When I compile the program, you'll understand more of how this code works. But it has a download button where it downloads the language model, and it gets, and there is a, and on the XML, you can choose which language that you want to translate. So, for instance, if you want to translate from English to Spanish, you you choose the English, and then on the next one you choose Spanish, and it will translate that from English to Spanish. But what it does, it gets the language code first, and that's that language code we were talking about: English, Spanish, or this could be whatever language code that you use. It's going to get that code, and it will download. And then to get more room, or just choose a different language, it will delete the language, and that's what that is for. It's fairly really straightforward. And then here you have translate. Again, they gets the values of what you chose, if it's from English to Spanish or English to Chinese. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is the from language tag. So this is pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go straight to the Android manifest file. Okay, so we're on the Android manifest dot file, and I went ahead, and they did not have this in the sample, but I added it. I put uses permission for the internet. So you can download the model and you want to get permission from the end user that yes, my app can access the internet. And I only had one activity that I had to place in there. So on my Android manifest, I went ahead and put in the activity the main activity to launch it. And then the main activity, it has in the set context content view r.layout.activity underscore translate underscore main. So it went ahead and put the layout under the res folder, activity translate main. And that has the container for the program. All right, so there's nothing else that I had to change to run the app. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and let's build the project. So you go up, build, click on make the project. And once you've built your project, go ahead and click on run. And if you have your app attached to your computer, go ahead and click on run and then click on the second one. It will automatically detect your cell phone if it's attached to Android Studio, or if you already have a model, it will automatically run on the model. All right, so let's go ahead and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so I ran the sample app, and I'm going to write, I love to walk my dog. And as you can see on the bottom left hand, it says downloaded models. It has English and it has Spanish. And it went ahead and translated the English, I love to walk my dog, to Spanish. As you can see in the bottom left hand corner, it has mi perro, which is my dog. And I'm going to erase this. I'm going to put dog. And there it goes, perro. And if you like, you can change, you can switch it. So there's a button right in the middle. And I'm going to, so that will switch from Spanish to English. So let me click on the switch. And as you can tell, it changed that to Spanish. And on the bottom left-hand corner, it's dog. So I have Spanish, English, and as voila, you have French, German, Greek, etc. Anything that you want to choose.